GM, good morning. Welcome to the Milk Road Show, the daily crypto show that hits you like the alarm clock on a Monday morning, but in a good way. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton, and today we're talking about how you can get extra yield on your ETH. Here to walk us through is Kelp co-founder Amit. Now, I'm going to assume that most of you listening to this episode stake your ETH. But I think I might be wrong in that assumption. I mean, I assume that because who wouldn't want an extra 3% boost on your ETH? But when we look at the stats, only 28% of all ETH is staked. So I'm actually guessing that a lot of you listening to this episode don't stake your ETH. If that's the case, please let us know in the comments so we know whether or not you do stake your ETH and we can make sure we get you guys more information on how to do that. But that's exactly what we're going to talk about today is there's this talk of staking and restaking and liquid staking, liquid restaking, and all these words. You might understand them, whether you do or whether you don't. If I told you that you could get an additional 20 to 30% yield on your ETH and do it in a safe and simple way, not with going deep into DeFi, but in a way where it's basically managed for you, you'd probably be crazy not to do that. So today, we're going to walk you through the steps of what are the options of how you can get extra yield on your ETH. How do you actually do it? How does it work? And in order to do that, we've partnered with Kelp to make this episode possible and make sure that you guys have this great opportunity to get more yield on your ETH. Amit, welcome to Milk Road Show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me here today, Jay. Pleasure to be interacting with you.
Likewise. Okay, let's start at the beginning with a simple question. Let's say I've got some ETH and I'm not doing anything with it right now. What would you recommend to me? How would you help me think through the ways that I can get more yield on that ETH?
Interesting question, and lots of my friends ask me the same question, who are just getting into crypto and buying Ethereum or Bitcoin. Let me ask you a question back. What do you want out of your ETH?
Let's take two camps here. One camp, let's say I want simple savings account returns. You know, I want a little bit of return, but I don't really want to do much work, and I don't want much risk either. And then I would love to take a second approach that's maybe more, I'm willing to take a little bit more risk, but I don't want to go deep into DeFi. And those listening that are deep in DeFi, there is more advanced ways to do what we're going to talk about today. But I would love to just break it down in those two ways. So I'm pretty basic. I want a little bit of return, and I want a little bit more, and I'm willing to go a little bit deeper. But I don't want DeFi though.
Perfect. That's very interesting. It's a good way to also segment your audience or your users. So first is if you're just happy with a savings rate type of a return, which is possible by just simply staking your ETH, and that gets you about 3% today. And there are several ways for you to stake your ETH, right? Like you can go to a centralized exchange like Coinbase or Binance or OKX, or you could stake with liquid staking protocols like Lido or Stata Labs, Rocket Pool. There are a bunch of them out there. You can simply deposit your ETH there, and they'll do the magic for you. They'll abstract the complexity of selecting the validators, depositing with the validators, all of those things in the background for you, and all you get is 3% rewards or returns on your ETH on an annual basis. So that's simply the first category of users who want to sort of earn savings rate kind of a yield on their ETH. The second category is where it gets really exciting and interesting. Of course, there are ways, if you are a DeFi degen yourself, there are ways and means for you to sort of maximize yields. But I do understand that a lot of DeFi stuff is still very complex for majority of the users to deal with. You have to go understand what a money market is. You got to go understand what an automated market maker is, or a perpetual protocol is, or you have to go to a bridge and then bridge your tokens to L2. All of this gets extremely complex. for a new user. Yet, who wouldn't like extra yield on top of their ETH, right? Especially in these kind of market conditions, and all the more reason to participate. If there's potential to make 20% or 30%. Of course, not financial advice. There are risks associated with it, but there are protocols like Kelp and Kelp Gain that abstract out the complexities of all of these. All you need to do is take your ETH, or if you have already deposited with a liquid staking protocol like Lido, take your ST. You can use a product called Kelp Gain, which already has about $100 million in assets that are deposited with it. And Kelp Gain does it for you. You get 6 different airdrops and the staking rewards as well, which is a 3% savings rate. Plus, you also get 6 different airdrops on top of it. I mean, the speculation is the yields could be as high as like 35%, depending on how these protocols that are going to airdrop their new tokens to users are going to perform. But Gain does the entire thing in the background for you. Takes your ETH, stakes it, restakes it on EigenLayer, bridges it to some of the newer L2s like Linea, Scroll, and some of the restaking protocols like Karak. And then because your assets are deposited on these different opportunities, you're eligible for airdrops, and that too boosted in some cases.
Yeah, what I love about Gain and what you guys have built is the concierge approach. You call it the DGen concierge, which is a great tagline, by the way. But this idea that there is many people who would want to go take these steps themselves, but that's not everybody. Most people are not going to go deep into DeFi. Most people are not going to, as you said, take the time to learn all these steps, which bring extra complexity and extra risk. And with Kelp Gain, you guys have simplified this. So, okay, I want access to not just this basic staking reward of 3%. I want to go a little bit deeper, but I'm not the type of person that wants to go do the DeFi stuff myself. Well, great. I can come to Gain, and it's one click, very simple, all in one place, all in one dashboard. I can get this 3%. And as you said, then I can get access to additional rewards of EigenLayer and other airdrops of these other protocols where we anticipate tokens are coming in the future. And those rewards could equal, it's difficult to project, but they could be anywhere from like 20, 30, maybe even 35, 40%. So that's quite significant return that you can get in for such a simple thing. I would love to walk our users through what are the actual steps to do this. What does this look like? Would you mind screen sharing for us and showing us how Gain works and how a user could get access to these rewards?
Yep, absolutely. So this is the simple Gain page. Let me start probably from the beginning. All users have to do is like go to kelpdao.xyz, just click Restake Now button. There's this new section called Gain, and click Deposit. This is what gets you here into Gain. And you can see a lot of details on this page. About $95.6 million of assets have been staked. And as I mentioned, Gain gives you access to 6 airdrops and also this staking rewards rate of currently it's about 3.1%. And these are the airdrops that are available to Linea, Scroll, Karak, Kelp, Eigenpoints, and also our infrastructure partner. All of them are boosting these rewards.
And for all of our listeners, and if you're listening on the podcast, you might want to switch to Spotify or switch to YouTube so you can see this screen share, so you can see what we're talking about. But we'll do our best to explain it if you're not able to switch. So right now, there's 6 airdrops. Is there plans to have more airdrops in the future?
Yes, absolutely. Think of this as like an eternal airdrop and yield farming opportunity or a vault that is going to deposit the Ethereum staked or LSTs deposited into this vault. This is going to deploy those across multiple new opportunities that are coming up and farms the best possible airdrops.
Okay. So I come here. I don't want just the basic 3%. I think a lot of people are just staking on a centralized exchange because it's so easy. I want to go beyond that. I'm going to bring my ETH here. I'm going to deposit my ETH into the AirDrop gain vault. And I know there's plans for other vaults in the future as well, but we'll stick to discussing this one right now. And it's simple. I just deposit my ETH and then maybe walk us through what happens after I deposit my ETH.
Yeah. So let me actually go ahead and deposit a little bit of ETH from my account. I'm going to do like 1 ETH. I just selected ETH. You can also deposit a bunch of LSTs as well as RSETH, which is Kelp's restaking token. But let's just simplify it for now. Say I am a user, I have ETH in my wallet, and I'm going to select ETH as the deposit asset. Here you can see the balance, ETH balance that I have in my wallet. I'm going to just select restake now. So just confirm.
Yeah, it's going to ask you to go through your signing through your MetaMask, take all those steps, and then it's going to take a minute to talk to the blockchain and finish the transaction.
There is the transaction that is successful. And you can see the balance in my wallet has reduced by 1 ETH. And I actually, when you as a user deposit ETH in the AirDrop gain vault, you get a token called agETH. That's like the AirDrop gain ETH. And you can see I have about 3 agETH because I already had about 2 agETH that I deposited before. And another 1 agETH got added here.
So you get a liquid token in return for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And now before we can talk about that liquid token and what you can do with that in a second, because you can get even more rewards. But before we do that, how do the rewards that you're going to get currently work? So now that I have deposited my ETH into the AirDrop gain vault, I'm going to get about 3% yield. It fluctuates, but it's around 3% yield because the gain vault is staking my ETH for me. It's doing the same thing that staking on Lido or staking on a centralized exchange would do. We are also going to get these AirDrop rewards. Can you just walk us through how you actually get these two forms of rewards?
Absolutely. So when you as a user deposit ETH with the AirDrop gain vault, the ETH is actually staked with a validator, and then that ETH is also restaked on EigenLayer. So you double dip. One is the staking rewards, and you also get the EigenLayer points. So you have the restaking yields as well. And when after the restaking is done, you get a receipt, like the vault manager gets a receipt token called RSETH, and that RSETH is deposited in multiple DeFi strategies. And because RSETH is a very popular token that is accepted as one of the assets across these different DeFi opportunities and L2s, and because this RSETH is on those DeFi opportunities, you're getting these different airdrops. Like for example, 40% of the RSETH is bridged to Linea using layer 0. And Linea is giving airdrops or Linea LXPL points, the way they call it, to the RSETH that is bridged to Linea. Similarly, Karak is a restaking protocol, and they are giving like 3 times the boost that they typically give to the RSETH that we are depositing from the vault. So all of these kind of are adding up, and you have like 3 layers of rewards. First one is the 3% savings rate. Second one is the restaking rewards from EigenLayer. And the third one is all of these DeFi opportunities rewards, like Linea, Scroll, Karak, etc.
And it's when we add them all up that we could get to that 20 to 40% total yield that you could possibly get. And can I see these rewards that I'm getting? How do I actually collect these rewards? Are they just paid out to my wallet automatically?
So the first is the staking rewards or the savings rate that is paid out automatically because the agETH, which is the liquid token, it increases in price. as you collect the staking rewards, right? The other rewards will be available to be claimed on Kelp website. We are going to have a section as soon as they start announcing their TGE. We are going to have a clear section on the Kelp website where you will have an opportunity to either claim directly there, or we will show the exact website address where you can go and claim these rewards.
So you make it very simple for me to do all these things, really, which, as we said at the beginning of the episode, you could do, an advanced DeFi user could go do these things themselves already. But as we know, I mean, the basic stat is only 28% of ETH is staked, only 28%. So there's a lot of people that aren't even taking that step, which is the basic step, let alone how many people are restaking and involving themselves in all of these other approaches in DeFi. So now with Gain, you can get it all under one hood. It's incredible. I want to talk about the risk. So we're going to talk about that in a second, because it's important that everybody understands the risk. There is always risk associated with any form of investment. But first, one of the things that's really important is obviously to understand, how do you exit? We talk all the time on the show about how important it is for your investments to have an exit plan. You always need to be clear on what is your target for this investment, and when are you going to exit? When are you going to start to take profits? These are things that every investor should be very clear on. So in a similar way, you need to understand, if you were to deposit into Kelp Gain, that you can exit that. And how does exiting work?
It's very simple. Just the way I deposited, there's something called a withdraw. And you can withdraw in RSETH, which is Kelp's liquid restaking token. And like, let's say I am withdrawing 0.1 RSETH. All I need to do is just click withdraw.
Okay.
As soon as the transaction is signed, you have actually given back some of your agETH, and you can claim the RSETH in about 48 hours.
Okay, so you can exit fairly quickly. 48 hours is pretty quick to exit restaking that's all happening behind the scenes. Because how long would it typically take a user to exit out of this type of portfolio plan?
So it could get complex, especially with the bridging and all of that. Especially if you're a newbie who is farming on L2s, you have to go through multiple hoops, bridge your ETH back to mainnet, and then Gain kind of abstracts out all of that complexity. We typically make the assets available or tokens available to exit within 24 hours. The maximum is 48 to 72 hours.
Okay, so it's simple to exit and very easy, which is great. Let's talk a little bit about the risk. One thing I need to mention is Kelp raised $9 million a few months ago from a incredible lineup of venture backers. So congrats to the team. I think that gives a lot of credibility to you guys and what you're building, and shows that a lot of the most well-respected funders in the space are excited about you and trust you. But for a user who is thinking about using AirDrop Gain, what are the risks that they need to be aware of?
So I think some of the risks with regards to any smart contract platform is smart contract hacks. Those are because the entire crypto or blockchain technology is so new. These risks kind of exist in the system, but obviously there are ways to mitigate these risks. That's why we go through multiple audits. Some of the most valued or trusted audit partners like Sigma Prime, Code Farina, etc., have audited Kelp smart contracts, and even the underlying protocols that Kelp Gain kind of utilizes, like Linea, Scroll, Karak. All of these have been audited several times, including the bridging protocol like Layer 0, which is one of the most popular ones. So they have all been audited several times. So that's one of the prerequisites before we deposit assets with any of these protocols. We make sure that all of these protocols are fairly well audited and safe and secure to deposit funds.
Fantastic. Let's just talk about two final things before we wrap up here. One is, let's say I wanted to go even further here. And so now I have my agETH because I have deposited into the Gain airdrop Gain vault. What can I do with my agETH?
It's a very interesting question. We just launched a DeFi integration on agETH with Pendle just about a couple of days ago, and that pool is giving some juicy rewards. I've just opened up Pendle's UI, and they have a farm for agETH. So that's giving about 36%, and there's already about $14 million worth of agETH deposited in this pool. All you need to do is go in, connect your wallet on the Pendle website, and I'm going to deposit like maximum amount of my agETH.
So now I am taking another step. Obviously, this is getting a little bit more into DeFi, but now I'm getting another, currently 36%, I think you said it was, if I'm looking at this correctly, on top of all these, on top of my regular 3%, on top of my eigenlayer points, on top of the other airdrops that I am getting access to. I'm also getting 35.6% is the current APY on this. If you take this additional step, absolutely incredible to think about all of this that can be done. Now, obviously, users need to understand that there is, there's steps involved here. There's risk involved here. The main thing I think that every user needs to understand is you need to have a plan. I think a lot of the mistake that often people make in DeFi is they go and they put their money in all these different places, and then it becomes very hard to track, and it becomes very hard to keep tabs on it all and make sure that you're clear on when you're taking this, when you're exiting these positions, and that you're watching all the APYs. So I think the important thing is do your own research, think about this yourself, and think about what is the amount of, not just the amount of risk that you want to take, but the amount of time that you want to invest into your portfolio. If you're sitting there and you're saying, hey, look, I want minimal time, I've got a full-time job and a family and I don't have any time, then just keep this strategy simple. Go to Kelp Gain and just do that. But if you want to take that extra step of going to something like Pendle with your integration, it makes it super simple. And I'm sure there will be other DeFi protocols that will offer the ability to get more rewards from agETH in the future as well.
Yep, that's true. I am busy doing a lot of like building Kelp. So I typically just, as you've seen, right, I just typically hold agETH on my wallet.
Right. Okay. Final question. So what's next? Kelp Gain. You guys just launched Kelp Gain 2 weeks ago. This is a new product. It's doing incredibly well so far. Obviously, this very simple way to get access to all these rewards is fantastic. It's solving a problem that I think a lot of our listeners have, which is they want to increase their yield, but they don't want to go deep down the DeFi curve. But what's planned? This is just the beginning for Gain. What's planned for the future for Gain?
As Gain matures, first one is adding more DeFi opportunities on top of agETH so that users could further utilize agETH across multiple protocols by themselves. And the second one is expanding Gain and adding more vaults. Example, a vault where we can accept stable coins like USDC or USDT that gets deployed across multiple DeFi opportunities and gets access to all of these airdrops and rewards. Potentially launching something on BTC as well,
allowing people to stake BTC or to
just deposit BTC and get rewarded in BTC, so that Gain can automatically deploy the BTC that is deposited by the users across multiple DeFi opportunities.
Incredible. I think for everybody listening, I'm sure you are at least thinking about going and checking out Kelp Gain, which is clearly going to allow you, if you want to, again, investing and taking these steps is always a risk. So make sure you do your own research and you think about this for yourself. But certainly a opportunity for everybody listening to increase their portfolio and to take advantage of the amazing rewards that are happening right now in the space. Amit, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your time and everything that you and your team are building over at Kelp.
Thank you very much to you and Milk Road for having me, and to everybody who's listened to the show.
Amazing. Remember, everybody, we have on Wednesday, we are announcing the winner of our raffle. So make sure you listen to Wednesday's episode to know if you won the raffle for subscribing to our YouTube. Thank you so much that everyone participated. And of course, none of this is financial advice. Investing in crypto is risky, and you should only invest what you can afford to lose. See you next time. Have a wicked awesome day.